The principal here, and I'm excited to stand up here and look forward to what's about to be presented. Today is our annual National History Day. National History Day is a year-long academic program focused on historical research, interpretation, and creative expression for 6th through 12th grade students. By participating in NHD, students become writers, filmmakers, web designers, playwrights, and artists as they create unique contemporary expressions of history. The experience culminates in series of contests at local levels and annual national competition at the nation's capital in June. We are excited to see what our students have developed for the National History Day. With that, I wish all of you students the best of luck. Students, no pressure. I think you guys are going to do a phenomenal job. I know you've been working very hard on this, and your teachers who stand here before you know you've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. A lot goes into this, and good luck to all of you. At this time, I'd like to call up our assistant principal, Mrs. Jumana Hamadi, to say a few things.
Good morning, wassalamu alaikum. Beginning in the fall, students choose a subject related to the annual theme and conduct extensive primary and secondary research. After analyzing and interpreting their sources and drawing conclusions about their topic's significance in history, students present their work in papers, exhibits, performances, websites, or documentaries. Each year, National History Day selects a theme to provide events through which students can examine history. The annual theme frames the research of students and teachers alike. It is intentionally broken up to allow students to select topics at any place, whether it is local, national, or global, and any period in history. Frontiers in history, people, places, ideas is this year's theme. To understand the historical importance of these topics, students must ask questions of time and place, cause and effect, change over time, and impact and significance. What factors contributed to the development of a frontier? Why did it emerge, and how did it change? When did it cease to be a frontier? What impact did it have on the people who experienced it, and how did they affect it? Regardless of the topic selected, students must present a description of it and draw conclusions about how that topic affected individuals, communities, nations, or the world. And now, moving on, we would like to welcome our judges, Ms. Halcover, Mr. Muhammad, and Mr. Al-Arifi, who will provide valuable feedback to students through evaluation forms as the rubric, and introduce and select the projects that will advance to the next level of campus. And as we start our program with the ninth grade presentation, good luck.
My name is Zoe, and I'm going to be giving a response-based explanation. What's out there in the universe is one of the biggest mysteries known today. After 50 years of humans exploring space, each trip fulfills more and more of people's curiosity, as well as leading to many scientific advances. Space exploration is one of the most useful scientific techniques in history. Let's get into it. Some astronomers suppose that there are to be other galaxies, but they had no proof of it. Not until Edwin Hubble pointed the Hooker telescope at the constellation Andromeda. Hubble studied the Andromeda Nebula, an object that for centuries was thought just to be a cloud light. In 1923, Hubble focused on individual stars in the nebula, which resulted in one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in the history of cosmology. Hubble uncovered a sci-fi variable star, which is a type of star that exists to measure distances in space by the way it changes brightness. A sci-fi variable star's intersect brightness is related to its cycle from bright to dim, then back to bright again. By graphing the changes in the stars, Hubble discovered that the sapphire variable stars in Andromeda Nebula are actually far away than those that are in the Milky Way. The difference in distance led Hubble to believe that Andromeda Nebula was a galaxy of itself. Hubble then used the same technique to observe other nebulas in universes, which concluded that millions of other galaxies existed beside our own. Because of this, we now have a better understanding of the history and essence of our universe. Let's go back to our own galaxy. The planets make up the basics of our solar system. Let's go into the 8 planets and how they got their names. We have Mercury, named after the messenger of the Roman gods. We have Venus, named after the Roman goddess of love and beauty. Mars, named after the Roman god of war. Jupiter, named after the king of the Roman gods. Saturn, named after the Roman god of agriculture and wealth. Uranus, named after the Greek god of the sky. And finally, Neptune, named after the Roman god of
Can
the
you
sea.
move that camera closer?
Have you ever wondered how we discovered something so far away and what makes our sky so different from ours? Well, let's go over it. Mercury was one of the hardest planets to spot, since it was so small and far away from Earth. However, due to Johann Kepler's theory of Mercury and Venus passing above the Sun, Hooray Gassendi was able to spot it with a telescope in 1631. This rocky planet is not only the smallest planet in the solar system, but it is also shrinking. But it is still big enough to have craters the size of Western Europe. However, unlike Mercury, Venus was very large and close to the Earth. Not only that, but its thick atmosphere allowed 3/4 of the light to reflect off of it. This allowed the ancient Mayans to discover it and document it as early as 650 BC. Although Venus is further from the Sun than Mercury, it is still hotter, and it is the only planet in our solar system to rotate clockwise. Mars was the simplest one to discover. Due to its bright red color, it was very easy to see in the sky. However, Galileo Galilei was the first one to observe it with a telescope in 1610. Mars is known as the red planet. This is due to the soil, dust, and rocks surrounding Mars being made up of iron oxide, giving it its rusty red look. Although there is no sign of life on Mars, scientists have concluded that it has suitable living conditions to contain life. Jupiter was also easy to see due to its large size, but it led to one of the greatest discoveries. When Galileo Galilei used his telescope to get a better view of it, he saw 4 moons orbiting it. This made Galileo realize that planets can orbit things other than Earth. Thinking of Nicholas's theory about Earth not sitting at the center of the universe, Galileo now had evidence that he was right. Jupiter is so big that you can fit 11 Earths in it. And it's not shaped like a circle like most planets, but actually an oval. This is because of its rapid rotations. Saturn was an accidental discovery. In 1610, Galileo was gazing through space with his telescope when he came across Saturn. As weird as it may seem, Saturn's rings are not actually solid. They are made up of bits of rocks, dust, and ice. Saturn's biggest moon, Titan, is actually bigger than Mercury. Now we have a different scientist that discovered Uranus, and his name was William Herschel. When he was looking for comets in the sky, he saw something that seemed to behave like one. When he took a closer look at it, he saw that it was orbiting the sun in a planet-like manner. In 1783, it was common to say that it was in fact a planet. While the sun is not the farthest planet from the sun, it is indeed the coldest. It reaches a temperature of negative 353 degrees. And believe it or not, Uranus actually has a set of rings just like Saturn, except these rings are made of very dark particles, which is why you can't see them now. Shortly after discovering Uranus, scientists realized that its orbit was rather unusual. Mary Somerville realized that the position of Uranus may lead to an undiscovered planet. After getting this information, Leverrier asked his friends in Berlin to mount his telescope a bit to point to where his theorized planet might be. When his friends did, Leverrier saw Neptune with his own eyes. It was discovered in 1846. This planet is absolutely huge, being 4 times wider than Earth. It takes 16 hours to complete one rotation, or 165 Earth years to orbit around the sun once. Discovering these planets has helped us understand where we stay in the solar system and what makes these conditions of our planet so special, considering that the Earth is the only planet in the galaxy that has suitable living conditions. After the tragedy, the US was assigned to launch a satellite into space. The assignment was a success as the satellite Explorer 1 was the first satellite launched into space by the US. The first sighting of Earth as a whole that the satellite took led scientists to shock as they discovered the band-hour radiation belts surrounding Earth's magnetic field. This made scientists wonder more about the unknown of space, allowing Congress to pass the National Aeronautics and Space Act, known as NASA, on July 29, 1958, approved and signed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ever since NASA was created, aeronautic and space technology solutions have become more advanced, and new space exploration experiments are being conducted every single day. President John F. Kennedy dreamed of landing people on the moon. The president and NASA knew they could do it. They created the rocket Apollo 11 and were preparing to blast it up. on July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 successfully blasted off into space. With astronauts Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, and Michael Collins on board July 20th, 1969, they successfully landed on the moon. This caused Neil Armstrong to be the first ever man to step foot on the moon. Edwin Aldrin walked around for 3 hours, picking up bits of moon dirt and rocks, and US flag on the moon, as well as the sign that states, "Here, men from the planet Earth first stepped foot upon the moon, July 1969. We came in peace for all mankind." 4 days later, on July 24th, 1969, the three astronauts landed safely back on Earth. The rover is a robotic device that is made to explore solid surfaces of the moon. They are programmed to help scientists understand how different parts of the planet are made of, as well as studying different types of chemicals on rocks found on such planet. They can dig around for soil and mineral samples and take images and videos of the land. There are some that are fully or partly in control of the system. So far, there have been 4 rovers made by NASA with the name Sojourner Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, and Perseverance. Out of the 5 rovers, Perseverance and Curiosity are the only ones assigned to explore Mars. When they landed, they investigated the past planet conditions and searched for signs that the planet was once habitable. What scientists gained was evidence for old wet conditions that may have once supported more balanced life. There are many benefits to space exploration. One of them includes predicting our planet's environment by having our satellites measure the Earth's population to help us maintain better. Satellites can also predict natural disaster and warn us beforehand to make sure nobody gets harmed. Space technology makes our lives easier by predicting weather and allows us to send communication worldwide. An experiment done in space can help us understand health problems and how they're counted.
All right, hello. I have a question. My first question was, what exactly was your historical argument? We're arguing over whether space exploration is good or bad. We're arguing that it's good because of the many scientific benefits that are available. All right. And where did you get the majority of your research from? We got it from the website of NASA, and then we just appeared to a lot of words because that's what the video was mostly based on. No further questions, thank you.
And coming up next, we're going to have 10th grade doing the live skit on the Red Scare.
Dear parents, thank you for following the Star International Academy World History Day. Previously, that was grade 9 space exploration presentation. If it wasn't very clear, we will post it independently too on Star International Academy's social media. Coming up next is grade 10 Red Scare presented by Ahmed Jawad, Khalid Muhammad, Muhammad Kiki, Muhammad Yassin, and Laith Al Mayali. The Red Scare presentation for the World History Day coming up next by grade 10.
The Red Scare was about Muhammad and Born back in the 1940s and 1950s. We're going to focus on something that's big and let it performance to show the people in the audience what the Red Scare was back then.
In the midst of a day in the year 1954, he walks around peacefully, his mind pure of any malicious intentions. Nothing in mind, just living an ordinary life. A family, children, a job, a wife, and any other circumstances. And there, it finally happens. The unexpected arrives. Don't go, he's one of them, he's so inspired. In prison, he leaves. Arrested, citizenship is stripped away, his job is taken away, almost painful, away from the family. What's your name, sir? What's your name? Look, I know everything about you. Is this how you want to play? It's full of so-called context of your own. Go ahead and tell me. What most actions have you performed here in the United States?
It is working.
Commander-in-Chief, carrying is under our control. Mission accomplished. Charge! Scene 2 under.
We're just using the laptop's audio now, so it's just picking it up from the laptop because we can't get the Mevos to work. The Mevo sound is working, so we're just getting it from the laptop. Like,
Scene 3. The President's Press Conference in the State Auditorium, December 13th, 1962. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the press conference between the President of the United States of America and the press. We'll be pointing out the new rising connections between the United States and Cuba, specifically with the new relationships and interactions with the Soviet Union. Communism had finally reached Cuba, and the Cuban Missile Crisis had been a close concern for the United States. It involved Soviet weapons being situated in Cuban territory, being a major threat to the United States. I welcome the President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy will now address us. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I have a clear statement. There has been a great deal of talk on the situation in Cuba in recent days, both in the communist camp and in our home. And I would like to take this opportunity to set the matter in perspective. In the first place, it is Mr. Castro and his supporters who are in trouble. In the last year, the regime has been increasingly isolated from this hemisphere. His name no longer inspires the same fear or following in other Latin American countries. He has been condemned by the OAS, excluded from their Inter-American Defense Board, and kept out of the Free Trade Association. By his own monumental economic mismanagement, supplemented by our refusal to trade with him, his communist company and his pledges for economic progress have been discarded, along with his pledges for political freedom. His industries are stagnating, his harvests are declining, and his own followers are beginning to see that their revolution has been betrayed. So it is not surprising that in a frantic effort to bolster his regime, he should try to arouse the Cuban people to charge of an imminent American invasion to commit himself still further to a Soviet takeover in the hope of preventing his own collapse. Ever since communism moved into Cuba in 1958, Soviet technical and military personnel have moved steadily onto the island in increasing numbers at the invitation of the Cuban government. Now that movement has been increased, it is under our most careful surveillance, but I will repeat the conclusion that I quoted last week, that these new shipments do not constitute a serious threat to any other part of this hemisphere. If the United States ever should find it necessary to take military action against communism in Cuba, all its costless communist supplied weapons and technicians would not change the result or significantly extend the time required to achieve that result. However, unilateral military intervention on the part of the United States cannot currently be either required or justified, and it is regrettable that loose talk about such action in this country might serve to give a thin color of legitimacy to the communist movement that such a threat exists. But let me make this clear once again. If at any time the communist buildup in Cuba were to endanger or interfere with our security in any way, including our base at Guantanamo, our passage to the Panama Canal, and our missile and space activities at Cape Canaveral, or the lives of American citizens in this country, or if Cuba should ever attempt to export its aggressive purposes by force or the threat of force against any nation in this hemisphere, or become an offensive military base with significant events in this social community, then this country will do whatever must be done to protect its own security and that of its allies. We shall be alert to and fully capable of dealing swiftly with any such development. As President and Commander-in-Chief, I have full authority now to take such action, and I have asked Congress to authorize me to call present forces should this or any other crisis may be necessary. In the meantime, we intend to do everything within our power to prevent such a threat from coming into existence. Our friends in Latin America must realize the consequences of such developments called out for their own peace and freedom, and we shall be making further proposals to them. Our friends in NATO must realize the implications of their ships engaging in the Cuban trade. We shall continue to work with Cuban refugee leaders who are dedicated as we are to that nation's future return to freedom. We shall continue to keep the American people and the Congress fully informed. We shall increase our surveillance of the whole Caribbean area. We shall neither initiate nor permit aggression in this hemisphere. With this in mind, while I recognize that rash talk is cheap, particularly on the part of those who do not have the responsibility, I would hope that the future record will show that the only people talking about a war or an invasion at this time are the communist spokesmen in Moscow and Havana, and that the American people defending as we do so much of the free world will in this nuclear age, as they have in the past, keep both their nerve and their time. Thank you for your time. See you in questions now.
Mr. President, what has shifted the perspective of Cuba from being a defensive nation into being alternated to an offensive one? Would something specific have to happen in order for you to think in such a way?
I think you read last week's statement that at Secretary made it quite clear, particularly in last week's statement, when we talk about the message of offensive military missile defense or development of military bases and other implications, which I gave last week, all those were, of course, indicating change in the nature of the Mr. Proctor.
A recent Soviet statement had been delivered earlier, claiming their position and stance with the Cuban government in regards to military intervention. If the United States was to take military actions, would this be a factor affecting your stance and position on any future decisions you make?
No, the United States will take whatever action the situation as I described may be required as part of the threat for the United States has been living with threats for a good many years, and in good many parts of the world, the United States will take any action that the situation does not require. And we'll take whatever action the situation does require along the grounds of which I indicated in my proposal.
Mr. Kennedy, when it comes to space programs and space activities, they highly require and expect the United States in positioning the ultimate top rank of the world. However, if we do not compete with Russia when it comes to acquiring warlike space vehicles, wouldn't this mark us as a second under the list of the strongest military field?
No. As I said last week, in the first place, we are spending $1 billion a year on our military space program, but it's key for the successful peaceful exploration of space, as well as the military mastery of space, are in large effective control of the platform and ability to rendezvous and follow the ground. So there is an obvious usefulness to the situation to the ground. Military usefulness for our efforts, peaceful efforts in space. There's no sense in addition, as you know, very recently determined to go ahead with the N3, which gives the United States Air Force a very strong weapon that should become necessary, so that the work that NASA is doing on Saturn and the work that the Air Force is doing on Titan, the work being done on the Polar program, the Gemini and others, all have national security factor as well as a peaceful factor. Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Defense has stated that the United States allowed the Soviet Union to go faster utilizing and mobilizing the hydrogen weapon to the United States. What's your opinion and position?
I'm not aware that we are intending to go the Russians to go first with
Well, I think the United States is attempting an administration, as you know, is making a massive effort in space. As I said, they're spending 3 times what we spent last year in space and more in this year's budget than the 8 previous years. So this is a tremendous effort. $5.5 billion is well as the money that we are spending for the military use of space. As I say, besides the booster potential and control all work at security parties and military needs, we hope that space will be used for useful purposes. That is possible in the United States, but we shall be prepared if it is not. In addition to that, as I said in the beginning, both the Soviet Union and the United States both had a capacity today to send a missile to each other's country with a nuclear warfare weapon, so that we have some perspective as to where the danger might be allowed. But the United States, the effort that it is making in both the program and military program, all this will increase our security in the Soviet Union's attempt to use space for military purposes.
Mr. President, do you have any plans for requesting special and adequate reserve mobilization powers? The escalating tensions in affairs with the international leagues has caused you to call for such legislation. Why couldn't you place as many reservists as you want into service when you have the ultimate power to do so?
I think there are several statements of the corporate. The call of the national emergency, I would say, is near the final step of the crisis. But there may be increased steps which will require us to call from the reservists, particularly in the air and sea, possibly on the ground. Last year, when we called the reservists for 2 divisions, the Wisconsin FX divisions, we also laid plans for maybe 2 more divisions per minute, which came into effect this summer, in August and September, so that those 2 divisions serve the purpose of giving us this desert during the period of the crisis. And at the end of it, we have, as you know, of course, increased our army strength from 11 to 16 divisions in the last year. Now it's need, of course, if we are in a national emergency, where the United States is threatened with very serious military action. Of course, there would be no hesitancy to declare it. But we might be in a situation where the declaration of a national emergency might not be the most appropriate step, and in that case, we would use the power granted to us by Congress.
Mr. President, relating back to this concerning topic, you have recently requested to employ 150,000 reservists into service. This action does not support your intentions and earlier claims that you have delivered to society. But you have stated that the army has been strengthened, and now you are attempting to strengthen it with your employment of reservists.
That is correct. And then we have 100,000 more they will be in very critical areas. As I've said, the air and sea are 2, and of course, there will be required divisions called if the United States or a league or leagues can reinforce the force in any place. The ability to call needed men would make an appreciable difference. As I say, we always have the final weapon of the final weapon of the national emergency. The power to call in living men, but the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of Defense felt that this intermediate step would be very useful in the period when Congress is out of session.
Thank you, Mr. President.
One more time, one more time. Great job, bro. Okay, so my question is, what was the claim or the historical argument? So what was the claim or the historical argument?
We said that communism was a different history because it was established there in the United States. People were worried about their rights and freedoms, and they were shipped away from this reality. Because very quickly, not just around the world, but also in the United States. They had a party who was very aware and conscious of what was happening in the United States and how they were communist in government and in society. And they were very worried because they thought that they had a political will be over themselves.
So what's your argument? That's just telling us communism existed. right? Like, what are you claiming? What are you arguing as a group?
Thank you.
What are you arguing as a group? Like, what is your, you just told us a bunch of information. What's your claim?
So, our claim is that, even today, after, for the start of, the expertise of Auditorium, on we're staying on each side of the US, in the United States, the whole purpose is to centralize services that society is going to see that implement independent of those. And today we see the Texas in the United States and also the United States.
One more question. So your presentation focused on JFK, Cuba, and space exploration. That was like the last 10 minutes of it. So why choose to focus on that and not mention McCarthyism if you're talking about Red Scare and communism in the US?
Because the whole issue with Cuba was that the country was placing and utilizing the forces in Cuba, and this was the United States. I mean, they had something on weapons, they were things that were making the United States and everything there. So focus on that because instead of having the is going on in the increased rate down the road and actual breakers and offers. And we saw this had been North Korea, China, Vietnam, and now it's Cuba. So you see it was very, very fast. It was a very, very centralized.
Coming up next, we're going to have 11th grader Dearborn with the Prohibition 18th Amendment.
Hi, my name is Arch Oliver, and for this year's National Literacy Project is Prohibition.
owners of stores and companies once again is about a couple of work incidents and improve their employees' working skills. Long-known American evangelist Reverend Billy Sunday even thought that the reign of tears is over, the slums will soon be a memory. We will turn our prisons into factories and our jails into storehouses and corners. Men will walk upright now, women will smile, and children will laugh. Hell will forever be forever, which clearly didn't ever happen. On the other hand, many citizens who lived in inland communities, in big cities, and modernist post-prohibition, and they were known as whites. And they were in opposition because they thought it was a way the federal government tried to legislate morality. Finally, the 18th Amendment was passed in December 1917 by Congress and was ratified on January 16, 1919 by the states, which declared the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within the importation thereof, or the exportation thereof in the United States and all territories subject to jurisdiction thereof for beverage purposes is hereby prohibited. Which basically simplifies that alcohol is prohibited except for consuming, producing, or consuming it for yourself. Congress later passed the Homestead Act in October 1919 to help enforce prohibition by the Bureau of Prohibition, which was extremely hard. When it was first put into place, consumption did decrease, but soon later it dramatically increased again. Also, in urban areas, people were against prohibition, so it was more difficult to enforce it there. The Homestead Act immediately caused a major impact on crimes. The number of crimes rose from 24% from 1920 to 1921. The act provided many officers to enforce the new amendment, but still didn't help as there was a 41% increase in drug and disorderly conduct and an 81% increase in drunk driving. As you already know, prohibition caused the amount of illegal activities to increase, and more Americans had to break the law because many lost their legal jobs and prices were higher for alcohol. Many Americans started bootlegging, which is selling, producing, and transporting illegal alcohol. Alcohol consumption was actually decreasing from 1910 to 1921, with a per capita of about 1.61 gallons to 0.23 gallons, but began to increase by 1922 to 0.83 gallons. Even though there was a slight decrease in alcohol consumption, there were many negative social effects. Bootlegging, increased gang and mafia activity became a multi-billion-dollar business. Some Americans even started making their own alcohol or illegally imported alcohol from Canada. Thousands of pubs and bars closed so they got replaced by speakeasies, which are bars that sold alcoholic beverages illegally. Drives allowed Americans to spend their money on things like theory, education, savings, and so on instead of alcohol. This tremendously fell as people began purchasing more alcohol more, and many became addicted to other substances such as marijuana, opium, cocaine, and many other drugs that wouldn't have ever happened if the ban was never put in place. Also, prescriptions of alcohol were legal, which allowed doctors to sell liquor, and it doubled the amount between 1923 and 1931. Many people were prescribed pain medicines, medicinal alcohol, which is 95% pure alcohol, and supplemental alcohol. There was even a 400% increase in medicinal alcohol sold. This clearly shows how prohibition was able to be manipulated and ignored. Many people began to get killed or poisoned when they brewed their own illegal alcohol. Affected the economy tremendously as many people lost their jobs when it was put in place, as well as major loss of tax revenue. Gang leaders, like Al Capone, also known as Scarface, thrived at this time as they were part of the black market and were able to produce and sell illegal alcohol. Al Capone caused the majority of the crime in Chicago, which includes illegal drug trafficking, bribery, bootlegging, prostitution, gambling, homicides, racketeering, and robbery, which allowed him to become a multi-millionaire in his time. He eventually was sent to jail for only tax evasion and was severely mentally ill after his release. All of these illegal activities resulted in prisons to be full, which is not the intended result. In the first 2 years of Prohibition, 65,000 people were arrested as federal criminals. It was so bad that Sing Prison in New York had to transfer almost 100 prisoners to another prison due to overcrowding. Due to all these problems, it led to law enforcement agencies having to sting operations by using things like wiretaps or placing an order at a speakeasy for alcoholic beverages to arrest bartenders. These tactics helped detectives arrest thousands and thousands of people. Overall, prohibition was a complete and utter failure. Many people began to pressure the government to end it as they were sick of all the violence and chaos it caused. It was meant to stop corruption, but eventually became the main source of it, which is why the 21st Amendment was put in place in 1933. That states, the 18th article of the Amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed, which brought an end to the Prohibition era and the frontier was finally crossed. This brought in so much more benefits as it helped the Great Depression a lot, which began with the end of Prohibition in 1929. It caused 1 out of every 5 workers to lose their jobs, and Prohibition didn't really matter to them anymore. Businesses that sold alcohol opened up, which created more jobs for people, which was much needed. Alcohol became taxed, which increases the amount of money the government gets from taxes, which is also greatly needed as we're going through the Depression. Violence, crime rates, and murder rates even decreased, as well as the black market began to lose much profit. Additionally, later in 1934, Alcoholics Anonymous was created to actually help alcoholics. The new amendment also lets states take their own laws and regulations on alcoholic beverages. Today, alcohol is still legal, but there are a few restrictions on it. Overall, this long and hard frontier has allowed Americans to change the country for the better and open up many people's eyes.
Alright, so I have one question, just because it's you and I felt like we needed a question. So what do you think the impact of learning from the mistakes you pointed out about the 18th Amendment prohibition? What did we learn now as a current society? Like, where do you see those impacts?
Okay, now we learn that the government controlling too many aspects of our lives doesn't necessarily help us and even fire back quickly, just like how the 18th Amendment did with the crime rates, the gangs, mafia, and all the murder.
Are there any industries today that you think share a relationship with alcohol from this time? There's some similar things happening too.
Can you elaborate?
Like, are there any current industries that are similar to alcohol that are going through maybe something like prohibition, where they're banned, or there are laws being talked about it?
It could, like vapes, like a lot of vapes are banned today, and people buy over the counter ones, and they're very toxic, and they're even more harmful than just buying ones. Is that your questions? Hello, my name is Fatima Akafaji, and my National History Day project is about westward expansion and its impact on Native Americans.
The removal of the tribes from the territory which they now inhabit would not only shield them from the pen of ruin, but promote their welfare and happiness. Experience has clearly demonstrated that in their present state, it is impossible to incorporate them in such masses, in any form whatever, into a system. It has also been demonstrated with equal certainty that without a timely anticipation of a provision against the dangers to which they are exposed, and the causes which it will be difficult, if not impossible, to control, their degradation and extermination will be inevitable. James Monroe, addressing Congress, 1825. Westward expansion was the 19th century era in American history, when the United States of America sought to settle further west. Many middle to low class white Americans stepped foot out of the 1800s American borders and into the western frontier in hopes of a wealthier life that is far from the shackles of government. But there are no depths to be explored. In retrospect, westward expansion brought many positive and negative aspects to the development of the United States of America. From the Native American genocide and displacement to economic prosperity, it was a physical, social, and humanitarian frontier that changed the course of America's history. In 1803, France was in control of many economic advantageous areas in the Americas, most importantly, the New Orleans port. At the time, the United States was blocked from the New Orleans port because of an expired treaty. The United States was under economic stress. In order to have access to this region, President Thomas Jefferson sent messengers, James Monroe and Robert Livingston, to France to purchase New Orleans. It should be known that Thomas Jefferson was very fond of expanding the United States farther than the borders it already had. Napoleon, the leader of France at the time, was facing political turmoil and ended up selling the entire Louisiana region for a mere $15 million. This purchase was incredible because Monroe intended to purchase this New Orleans with some other smaller regions for $10 million. With this, the Louisiana Purchase was signed, and Monroe and Livingston carried out more than the task that they were given. In the cession made by the preceding article are included the adjacent islands belong to Louisiana, all public lots and squares, vacant lands, and all public buildings, fortifications, barracks, and other edifices, which are not private property. The archives, papers, and documents relative to the domain and sovereignty of Louisiana and its dependencies will be left in the possession of the commissionaries of the United States, and copies will be afterwards given in due form to the magistrates and municipal officers of such papers and documents as may be necessary to them. Article 2, Louisiana Purchase, 1803. The entire Louisiana area was almost just as big as the United States at that time. So adding this area to the United States not only doubled the country's size, but put America in a great economic position. The Louisiana Purchase is arguably the first event that began westward expansion, and with this new untouched territory, there is much to be built, explored, and settled upon. Advertisements for Americans to prosper west were released to encourage Americans to march toward the hope of discovery past the American frontier. These advertisements brought people out to settle west because they used an infamous American concept, manifest destiny. Manifest destiny is a philosophical approach that justified the settlement of American citizens out in western lands that are occupied by indigenous populations. It is the idea that God has obligated Americans to obtain and civilize the lands of indigenous people. The concept was first founded by John O. Sullivan, a philosophical and political American author. It is the right of our manifest destiny to overspread and to possess the whole of the continent which Providence has given us for the development of the great experiment of liberty and pragmatic development of self-government entrusted to us. It is words such as that of the tree to the space of air and the earth suitable for the full expansion of its principle and destiny of growth. John L. O'Sullivan, 1845. He began this story with James Monroe addressing Congress, passionately claiming that if the western lands are not occupied by Americans, they would face impending ruin. Monroe was not only using manifest destiny to encourage expansion, but he was also claiming that Native Americans do not belong on the land that they lived on for thousands of years. Monroe wasn't the only one, however. Many government officials and presidents, most notably Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson, promoted manifest destiny and indigenous removal all throughout their time in office. This act only fueled the fire of this corrupt notion. It was an extremist mindset that encouraged the forced removal of Native Americans through any means possible, even if it meant violence. As America's borders expanded toward the Pacific Ocean, Native Americans were being removed from their homes and compacted into smaller urban areas, also known as reservations. This process was brutal to the Native American population, yet manifest destiny led white politicians to feel no sense of remorse. It is said that President Andrew Jackson said the following to Congress in 1830: "It will separate the Indians from immediate contact with settlements of whites, free them from the power of the states, enable them to pursue happiness in their own way and under their own rude institutions. They will retard the process of decay, which is lessening their numbers, and perhaps cause them gradually, under the protection of the government and through the influence of good counsels, to cast off their savage habits and become an interesting, civilized, and Christian community." These statements were given in favor of the Indian Removal Act, which passed later in May. This act gave President Jackson the right to push Native Americans off of their lands. In that same year, the Cherokee Nation found gold on their land. They were forbidden to conduct business with this gold for 8 years because of the Indian Removal Act. Then, in 1838, the Cherokee were forced out of their homes. It is said that the United States troops were ordered to treat the Cherokee people well, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The Cherokee were forced to leave in groups and sleep crowded together along their journey off of their land. They suffered from illness, dehydration, and poor sanitation. The trail that the Native Americans were forced to travel on would later be known as the Trail of Tears. Just out of the Cherokee people alone, 4,000 of them were killed and 16,000 of them were displaced. The Cherokee Nation is a small example of the horrors behind westward expansion. There were hundreds of indigenous nations that went under treacherous torture and violence just to clear the western frontier for the Americans to build their country. The United States also indirectly removed indigenous people. They mass killed the buffalo, which was an important asset to the Native American lifestyle. This forced indigenous people to move off of their own hunting grounds and into reservations. Native American nations attempted to prevent westward expansion by preserving their lands through treaties with the United States. However, the United States failed to keep its promises and continued to take indigenous land. Westward expansion brought many positives to the United States economy, like job opportunities in the railroad industry. During the time of westward expansion, the United States built the first ever transcontinental railroad. This not only gave a massive amount of job opportunities for lower-class citizens, but it also connected the eastern side of the United States to the newly claimed West. It allowed for national public discourse and sharing of ideas. It also improved interstate trade and commerce. The vast plains of the West also benefited the cattle industry. It allowed cattle to roam in open range, which increased their population and America's beef. The open lands also gave Americans more agricultural space for crops and allowed for homestead farming, as lands to settle on were cheap, and there were limited resources out west. The question is if these aspects outweigh the tremendous effect on the indigenous population. A frontier was crossed to make America what it is today, but can we really be proud of it?
Hello. I really wanted to say that I really liked that last line. My question would be, where did you learn majority of your research?
My primary sources were mainly from the U.S. Government Archive website. They have a really great software. And for my Native American research, I decided to choose secondary sources because most of the Native American primary sources are overshadowed and are also silenced. So it's very hard to find primary sources. But I did choose to go to university websites that had a lot of Native American populations. For example, I used the Oklahoma University website because Oklahoma is well known for its Native American population. It's a part of the Trail of Tears as well. So thank you very much.
What was, in your opinion, the overall impact of this event? Historically, we got that, but is there any lingering impacts today?
Yes, there is. So currently, the reservations that exist right now they're very poor because there's not much help towards them other than the fact that the U.S. government gave them reservations. And also, there is a drug addiction that is really big in the Native American population that is still lasting today. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Fatima Jalal, and me, Maria Nabayati, and Aya Hamid will be presenting to you guys a documentary introducing Dorothy Dix and the Big Two shows back for those who are looking at.
In 19th century America, treatment for the mentally ill was non-existent. Mentally ill people from this time were put in prisons with criminals, in almshouses, or with their families who gave them inadequate care. Plato, an ancient Greek philosopher, wrote in the laws, if someone should be mad, he is not to appear openly in the city. The relatives in each case are to guard the persons in their homes. During this time, it was believed that insanity was caused by brain damage, like a tumor or lesion. It was also believed that it could be caused because the person was possessed by a demon or evil spirits. These ideas were rarely challenged for centuries. To treat the mentally ill, doctors believed it was beneficial to drill holes into patients' skulls. as a way to treat head injuries and to let evil spirits escape. Overall, all the methods that were used are considered inhuman in today's time and did not help those who were mentally ill. The citizens believed all that was said about the mentally ill was true, which caused them to believe that they were like animals. Because of that, no one tried to make a change. But some reformers, like Dorothea Dix, who was the leading crusader for this cause, did not believe the common views and sought to bring a change. Dorothea Dix was born on April 4, 1802, when America was less than half a century old. She was born into an unhappy family, the eldest sister and her two brothers, with her father being an alcoholic and her mother being depressed most of the time. When she was 12, she left home to live with her wealthy grandmother, and by the time she was 14, she opened an elementary school at her home. She also wrote many successful books during this time, but because of periods of poor health, she left teaching and traveled for Europe, returning 2 years later to the United States. Dorothea Dix began her crusading journey when she accepted the job of teaching a Sunday school class to female convicts. She taught at the East Cambridge House of Corrections in Massachusetts. During her time teaching there, she saw the mentally disabled for the first time. She saw the mentally disabled woman in prison alongside criminals, regardless of gender or age. She thought it was wrong that an innocent person who had committed no crime be put next to a criminal. Miss Dix observed that some of those who were mentally ill were left unclothed without anything to keep them warm and in unsanitary conditions. Others were chained to walls and beaten with a stick or worked as torture. They were suffering to say the least. After seeing this, Miss Dix conversed with Dr. William Channing, who was an activist, scientist, inventor, and a close friend of hers. Because Miss Dix had severe tuberculosis, and it was thought that her days were coming to an end, he advised her to take an action quick, and he said, "Make that year do, Cynthia. Remember, everyone needs care and compassion, even the criminals and the insane." She took his advice, and for the next 40 years, she had a mission. Miss Dix traveled to other prisons throughout Massachusetts for the next 2 years, where she observed similar conditions for those with mental disabilities. After gathering her observations, she submitted a detailed report of her findings to the Massachusetts state legislature. But because she was a woman, she could not read this report to the state legislature, which was dominated by men. Instead, a man read her powerful words for her. In the report, she wrote, "I come to present the strong claims of suffering humanity. I come to place before the legislature of Massachusetts the condition of the miserable, the desolate, the outcast. I come as the advocate of helpless, forgotten, insane men and women, of being sunk to a condition from which the unconcerned world would start with real horror. I tell what I have seen, painful and as shocking as the details often are, that from them you may feel more deeply the imperative obligation which lies upon you to prevent the possibility of a repetition or continuance of such outrages upon humanity. I proceed, gentlemen, briefly to call your attention to the present state of insane persons confined within this commonwealth in cages, closets, cellars, stalls, pens. They're chained, naked, beaten with rods, and lashed into obedience." From her notebook and journal, she gave the state legislature specific examples of what she saw and witnessed. A woman from the hospital in a cage in the almshouse. In the jail, several decently cared for in general, but not properly placed in prison. Violent, noisy, unmanageable most of the time. One idiotic subject chained, and one in a closed stall for 17 years. One often closely confined, now losing the use of his limbs from want of exercise. After this, Dorothea Dix would lobby other state legislators and the Congress to reach her goal. She would speak to the United States Congress telling them that they needed to take more action to solve the suffering of the mentally ill. She told the Congress in 1848, "Your memorialist hopes to place before you substantial reasons which shall engage your earnest attention and secure favorable action upon the important subject she advocates." The subject she advocated was the need for new hospitals to be built for those who were mentally ill. Like her report to the Massachusetts state legislature, she also reported specific examples of what she had seen to get the attention of the Congress members, this time adding statistics as well. According to the best received methods of estimate 5 years since, it was still correct to count one insane in every 1,000 inhabitants throughout the Union. She was often turned down by Congress and state legislators, but sometimes she was not. In Nashville, the Sticks succeeded in getting the state legislature to dedicate $100,000 to a mental health asylum. In 1854, she left the United States for Europe. Here, she was also able to bring change to the mental health asylums as well. She left the blessing or the prisons of Europe as if an angel has visited them, wrote a reporter in the Daily Dispatch in March of 1860. In 1856, she returned to the United States, and for the first time, she passed a federal bill that President James Buchanan approved. The bill would fund the New Jersey State Lunatic Asylum in Trenton, which Miss Dix founded in 1848. Miss Dix would often call this asylum her firstborn child. After years of reform that would change the world, Dorothea Dix retired in 1882, which brought an end to her reform work. Dorothea Dix's work has a lasting impact on the world even today, more than 150 years after she began her work changing the mental health asylums. Dorothea Dix's work was a frontier because she was one of the only reformers to work on helping the mentally ill, and the only reformer who was able to bring this much change for the mentally disabled. She took the work of William II, who also advocated for better care for those with mental disorders, and finished it by finally bringing a solution for the mentally ill. Because of Dorothea Dix, old hospitals were redesigned and rededicated all according to her ideals. 32 hospitals, including the North Carolina Hospital for the Mentally Ill, which she refused to be named after her during her lifetime, were established because of her efforts. In total, her reforms caused 123 mental health hospitals to exist in the United States during that time. Funds were left aside by governments to build these hospitals. Even though she had achieved so much in the United States, Dorothea Dix was not satisfied. She took her reform all the way to Europe, where she was able to change the views on the mentally ill and their treatment there as well. Dorothea Dix received no wealth or gifts for her commitment and contributions to helping the mentally ill. She was instead satisfied by the change that she brought through using her resources and political connections that she had. James Clark, an author, wrote in the Disciples' Pulpit sermons of James Freeman Clark praising Dorothea Dix and her accomplishments. To how many poor souls must the coming of this good woman have brought an entire change of life? How many have been restored by her efforts, from hopelessness, mental alienation, to sanity and health? But through all of this, Dorothea Dix had many challenges. The biggest challenge that came upon Miss Dix was her gender. During her time, men believed that women should not be heard and that they should stay at home caring for the house, working as mothers and as wives. But Miss Dorothea Dix was smart and she knew how to get the men on her side. She made sure that she did not seem like she was a threat to them by having more power, and she made sure not to cross them. She was very gentle with them and complimented them to bring them to her side. When she would speak to the men, she would speak with respect, and because she was a woman, she was able to speak with emotion, while men would seem unmasculine if they did so. She used emotion to her advantage to get an improved reaction from the government and the public. In addition to this, Miss Dix also had health issues throughout her lifetime that affected her capabilities. Despite these views on women and her health, Dorothea Dix was able to bring change through her perseverance, stamina, and compassion. When she fell ill, Dorothea Dix went back to live in New Jersey. There, she lived at the New Jersey State Hospital in her own private suite. There, her work did not stop. She kept sending letters to the States to try and get more done even though she was ill and retired. Someone once said that, from her sick room, lines of communication ran every direction to the outside world. She passed away at the New Jersey State Hospital that was established in her honor on July 17, 1887, when she was 85 years old. Miss Dix was buried in Mount Auburn Cemetery in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Hi, girls. Nice biography. My question would be, what is your argument that you want us to really focus on?
Our claim or argument is that Dorothea Dix was a frontier in history
because she was able to bring a change to the world that nobody else has ever done. And this change was to build hospitals, asylums, and to bring the proper support and help for those who are mentally ill. And she did all this, and she accomplished her goal despite her poor health and her gender, because back then women were oppressed by men because of their gender, and they were not allowed to speak up for themselves.
Nice, thank you. And then my second question would be, where did you guys get your research? Last question. So, through your research, why do you think your giftedness was able to be heard, especially in the 1800s, especially as a woman, yet she was able to break through and be heard? So what did you find, and what was the reason for that? Why was she different?
All right, can we get one more round of applause for all of these wonderful National History performances? All right, so at this time, our judges have tallied our scores. We will award the prize, first place prize, to the winner of the National History Day contest. This person will receive a certificate as well as a trophy. We'll also be giving entries to the regional competition for first place, second runner-up, and third place. So I'll pass it off to Mr. Betta, Ms. Mahdi, and Mr. Beckman.
Thank you very much. Yes, so we will start by inviting all of the participants up on stage one last time. So can everybody participate? Please come on up. As Mr. Hernandez stated, we are going to nominate a first, second, and third place today. First, second, and third will go to our district History Day, which is on March 4th, on Saturday, at Detroit Historical Museum. Thank you all for participating. You all did a fantastic job. We're going to start with a third runner-up. Our third runner-up is Fatima with your westward expansion. Our first runner-up and second place goes to the Dorothy Dix. And our winner and taking home the trophy and certificate is Nargis with
did a fantastic job.
Well, as we wrap up our presentation for today, I would like to thank all the parents who attended and those who watched the live streaming, and all the support that they provide for school events. Judges, thank you so much for your time and for your valuable feedback. Social studies team, thank you so much. I truly appreciate all your hard work, your effort, and so forth. And by then, we end up doing program. Thank you so much for your time and for your watching.